let's see over here. We'll talk about the verb. Let's discuss about the verb. Okay, see the first sentence. So here we are going to discuss not only about the verb. Okay, first let me just clarify it. What is a verb? A verb is something, a word used to describe an action or a state or occurrence, or these are called as a verb. So a verb can be given in a easy definition. Word that shows an action. Word that shows an action. So verb is something that shows an action. Now let's see the subject. I'm going to highlight one sentence over here. Grandmother was shocked to see the snake in the coconut shell. You see the highlighted sentence. Grandmother was shocked to see the snake in the coconut shell. See over here. Grandmother is the subject. Here the subject is what? Grandmother. And what was the action that was done by the grandmother? That is the verb. Okay. So here the action that had happened upon the grandmother was shocked. Okay, the subject who does the work, that is the subject. Okay, who does the work, that is the subject. So the work has been done by grandmother. So grandmother is a subject, and shocked is the verb. Shocked is the verb. Shocked was or what grandmother has done, that is the verb. So shocked is the verb. And what is the object? Object means like who, for what caused grandmother to be shocked, and that is snake. So snake is the object. Snake is the object. So here grandmother is the subject, shocked is the verb, and by seeing the snake, so snake is the object. Snake is the object. She called out to grandfather. She called out to grandfather. Again, the subject over here is she. The verb is called. Grandfather is the object. Grandfather is the object. Now, that is very simple. If you have more doubt, you can refer other channels also to learn or to understand or have a better understanding about such things, because we cannot cover every all such things. I'm just giving you some quick look upon these things. So what we are going to study about is about the verb. What we are going to discuss about is the verb. You need to understand. So verb is basically an action. Verb is basically an action or an occurrence or a state of being. Okay, verb is a word or group of words that express an action, an event. Okay, a word or a word or group of words that express an action, an event. A word or group of words that express an action or an event. This is a verb. What we need to understand over here is we're going to study about two kinds of verbs. We are going to study about two kinds of verbs. They are called as regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs and irregular verbs. We are going to study about two kinds of verbs, that are regular verbs and irregular verbs. So let's see what are regular verbs and what are irregular verbs. See over here. Grandmother was shocked to see the snake in the coconut shell. She called out to grandfather. They reached a small house. Then he shouted for the man who lived there. Listen very carefully. Just, if possible, read with me the sentences I am reading. Grandmother was shocked to see the snake in the coconut shell. She called out to grandfather. They reached a small house. Then he shouted for the man who lived there. Now, you see over here, the underlined verbs are in the simple past tense. Whatever the verbs that are underlined, they all are in a simple past tense. So, present tense, past tense, and future tense. Present tense is something that is happening right now. Past tense is something that has happened before. Future tense is something that is going to happen in the future. Now, in these sentences, we got the verbs. What were the verbs? In the first sentence, shocked was the verb. Second sentence, called was the verb. Third sentence, reached was the verb. Fourth sentence, shouted was the verb. Lived was the verb. You got two verbs over there. Now, all these verbs are in the simple past tense. All these verbs are in the simple past tense. They refer to actions that had happened in the past. So, you know, past tense means what, right? So, these verbs are referring to something that had happened in the past. See over here, grandmother was shocked. Shocked means it's already happened. It's not, it is something that had happened before. Was shocked. She called out in the second sentence. She called out. That means it is something that has already happened. They reached a small house. That something that has already happened. Then he shouted. Shouted is already happened. So we are going to make these simple past tense into simple present tense. How can we make a simple past tense into simple present tense verb? How can you make a simple past tense verb to a simple present tense verb? How can we make a simple past tense verb to a simple present tense? See over here, to form simple past tense verb from simple present tense, you just need to add d or ed to the verb. So it is very simple, it's very easy also to make a simple present tense verb to a past tense verb. You know, to make a simple present tense verb to a simple past tense verb, you only have to add d or ed to the simple present tense verb. Very easy, right? See over here, the verb over here is shock. You know, shock, S-H-O-C-K, shock. Shock is a simple present tense verb. Shock is what? A simple present tense verb. Now, we need to make it into simple past tense verb. We need to make it into simple past tense verb. What you need to do? Just add ed to it. Just add ed to it. So what will come? Shock plus ed will be shocked. Shock plus ed will be shocked. So what you need to do? You just need to add ed and you will get the result shocked. So shock is a simple present tense verb. To make it into a past, simple past tense verb, just add ed to it and you will receive the word shocked. Shocked is what? Simple past tense. Now, you tell me, you got the word call. You got the word call. Now, you got the verb call. You want to make it into simple past tense. So, what will you do? Yes, you will add ed to it. So, call plus ed will be called. Yeah, call plus ed will be called. Again, you have the verb reach. You have the verb reach. To make reach into simple past tense, what you should do? You should add ed to it. So when you add ed to it, what will you receive? Yeah, you will receive the verb reached. So reached is a simple past tense. Again, you have the verb shout. Adding ed to it, you will get the word. You will get the verb shouted. Leave. For leave, you don't have to add ed, but just add d to it. Just add d to it. So leave will become leaved. Dive will become dived. Like will become liked. Now you have to listen to me very carefully. These verbs are called regular verbs. Why? Because they have D or ed endings as a regular feature in the past tense. So what are we having here? Yeah, these verbs are called what? These verbs are called regular verbs. Why are they called as regular verbs? Because they have a D or ed endings as a regular feature in the past tense. So mostly in the past tense, you will have a D or a ed. So since they are having D or ed, they are called as a past tense. Right? So it is a regular feature. And such verbs are called as regular verbs. Such verbs are called as what? They are called as regular verbs. So if there is a regular verb, there is, of course, there will be what? There will be irregular verbs also, right? Yeah, if there is a regular verb, there are going to be irregular verbs also. Now let's see what are irregular verbs. So we studied regular verbs very easy. In a regular verb, what you have to do? Just add d or ed to the regular verb and it will be turning to simple past tense. But this will not be applicable in all the simple present tense verbs. This will not be applicable in all the simple present tense verbs. Let's see over here. Let's look upon some of the irregular verbs. I took the shell and ran to grandmother. I took the shell and ran to grandmother. He snatched the shell and threw it away. Look, grandma, I caught a snake. Now listen to me very carefully. See over here. The underlined verbs are irregular verbs. The underlined verbs are irregular verbs. Why are they called irregular verbs? Because they are not having a D or a ED ending in the last. Does took have an ED ending? No. Ran, does it have an ED ending? No. Threw, does it have an ED ending? No. Caught, does it have an ED or D ending? No. So these verbs, they are on the simple past tense, but they are not having D or ED ending. So they are called as, they will be called as, or they are called as irregular verbs. Sorry, they are called as irregular verbs. You got it? Yeah. So when a simple past tense verb, when a simple past tense verb which does not have D or ED ending, it is called as irregular verbs. So we will see, to learn more and more simple past tense verbs, it only will happen through practice. When you practice more, when you study more, automatically it will be identifiable for you. All verbs do not take the D or ED endings to form the past tense. In some verbs, there is a change in spellings in the past tense to form as you see in the above sentences. See over here. Okay. Take will be turned to took. So take in the simple present tense, take will be turning to took. Throw will be turning to threw. So you will not be, see, if you don't study the grammar, what will you do? You will say for the instead of you saying took, you would say taked. Some people when they say for take, they will say to make take into simple past tense. How they will make it? They will make it by say making but they will make it by adding D or ED to take. So they will read like a instead of he took the banana, they will say he taked the banana. Is it the right way? No, he took the banana, right? Yeah. So some these are called irregular verbs where what will happen? Where the verb will not become a simple past tense by adding D or ED. Instead of that, it will be changing completely. So take will be turning to took, throw will be turning to threw, catch will be caught, and there are more examples. Run will be ran, then hear will be heard, bring will be brought, buy will be bought, deal will be dealt, bind will be bound. So once again, I'm reading. Take will be took, throw will be threw, catch will be caught, run will be ran, hear will be heard, bring will be brought, buy will be bought, deal will be dealt, bind will be bound. Sometimes we make mistakes, but that is fine. But you should not continue in mistake. You should not continue in the sin. In the same manner, so please do not continue to make mistakes. Sometimes, to get the simple past tense, we may we may use and we may add the wrong way, but that is fine in the initial stage. But you should you should read and study more, and by that you will be able to identify such words. So we studied the most important thing today is what, in a simple present tense verb, in a simple present tense verb, they to make it into simple past tense verb, you need to only add D or ED. You need to only add D or ED. I'm repeating again. What we have studied today is in a simple present tense. To make a simple present tense verb to a simple past tense verb, you need to add just D or ED to the verb. So we can see like shock will be shocked, call will be called, reach will be reached, shout will be shouted, leave will be leaved, dive will be dived, like will be liked. So making making a simple present tense verb to a simple past tense verb by adding d or ed. Such verbs are called regular verbs. But this is not applicable to all the verbs. This is not applicable to all the verbs. So you cannot say for take, you cannot say taked. Some people who do not know the proper grammar, they may say taked or throwed or catched. That will not work, right? There are certain simple present tense verbs. If you want to make them into a simple past tense verb, you need to change it. How it will be? Yeah, take will be took, throw will be threw, catch will be caught, run will be ran, hear will be heard, bring will be brought, buy will be bought, deal will be dealt, bind will be bound. So how can you learn all such things are? You should read as many as books as possible. You should read several English books, and through that you will be able to have an idea about such things. But if you try to study all the verbs, all the irregular verbs, it's not possible. So what you have to do is you should read as many as books as possible. You should listen as many as English news or English programs or anything of such kind of things, so that your language will improve. That is the way you will be able to speak in English. Some verbs remain the same in the past tense as they are in the present tense. So there is something called some of the verbs in both present and past tense, they will not change. Some of the verbs in both present and past tense, they will not change. You see an example over here. We put some extra sugar in our tea. We put some extra sugar in our tea. That is an example of a simple present tense. I mean a simple present tense sentence also, and the verb also is in simple present tense. What is that? We put some extra sugar in our tea. That's an the verb is in simple present tense. Now listen to the second sentence. I am sorry, I put salt instead of sugar yesterday. I am sorry, I put sugar. Sorry, I am sorry, I put salt instead of sugar yesterday. See, in both these sentences, put both are simple present tense, also put simple past tense, also put. So the verb is not changing. You're not saying, I put it, or you're not saying I something different. You're not saying. You're only saying, you're only adding put only. So in the simple present tense verb also put, simple past tense verb also put. There are rare cases where the same verb will be used in both places. But this you will be able to identify by learning or by reading several books. Find 5 examples of past tense forms of regular verbs and irregular verbs in the story. So you are given a homework, or you are given a homework. What you have to do is find 5 examples. What you have to do? You have to find 5 examples, each of past tense of regular and irregular verbs in the story. What you have to do is you have to find regular verbs and irregular verbs. You have to find regular verbs and irregular verbs. So, okay, though the question is given only to write the past tense, I'm asking you to write both present and past tense. Okay, write both the present and past tense. You find out the verbs from the text that we have learned. You find out the verbs from the text that you have learned, and you write it here. You have to write down both present and simple present tense verb and simple past tense verb for regular verbs and also for irregular verbs. We already studied about regular verbs, right? Like some of the examples are what? Yeah, shocked, snatched, want, wanted, happened, like that. And irregular verbs like hid, went, thought, help, gave, give, such kind of things. You can write it down. Now, there is another exercise that you have to do. Please do the exercise and send me to me. Send me to my WhatsApp number. Please do the exercise and send me to my WhatsApp number. Now, exercise number 2. See the exercise number 2. You are able to follow it, right? Do you want me to highlight it? Yeah, this is exercise number 2. See, okay. Write the simple past tense of the following verbs. Put them in column A for regular, column B for irregular, as the case may be. So you have to find out the simple past tense of the following verbs. So find out the simple past tense of the following verbs. Do it by yourself. I'm not giving that. You do it by yourself. Now, exercise number 3. Give 2 examples of verbs that are same in the present and past tense. We already studied about put, right? So both in present and both in the present and the past tense. If the verb is same, please mention that. Now let's move to the next portion. That portion was very easy, regular and irregular verbs. Isn't it? That portion was very easy. That portion was very easy, wasn't it? So let's move to the next portion. It's called adverbs. Next portion is what? Adverbs. So we already studied verbs. Now we are going to the next portion, adverbs.